Hey Charlie,
Hi, Jimmy.
what did one Mandalorian helmet say to the other?
I don't know.
Wait here, I'll go on ahead.
If you want more jokes like that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Love it. Hello, Star Wars fans. Welcome to episode 94, and we have some spicy news and spicy gossip that we're going to talk about.
Wanna buy some death stick?
Jedi.
That's not a moon. It's a space station.
Always a pleasure to meet you.
And my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Explore the Force. We're your hosts. I'm Charlie, joined by Jimmy and Jack, aka Jude.
It's been confirmed, guys.
It has been confirmed
Oh,
officially. I don't think these children know what they've done, the monster they've created.
no, no.
So,
It's gone straight to his head. He's an uncontrollable diva at this point.
What's
Anyway,
happening?
Jimmy, how are you doing?
well, if I'm to be honest, I don't know. Anyone who I know I haven't posted, like I said, I was going to on our social media about this stuff this weekend, but we did Swim to a Wish this weekend. It's a Make a Wish event. And we start at 4 o'clock. When I say we, the boys start at 4 o'clock and they swim. And I kind of talked about this before. And we started at 4 p.m. on Friday, and we finished today as we're recording on Sunday. We finished around 10:30 or so. I got home around 11, I believe. And we get very little to no sleep because we got to be there for the boys and support them. And we end up having to take somebody to the hospital and all this stuff. So it was a crazy week. But the boys, man, they're just an impressive group of young men suffering and raising money. Right now, we're almost at $8,000. Raised just for my team, and of course the host team. They always do a pretty good job as well, better job than we do typically. And so I think we've crossed over the 20,000 mark because of the combination of teams. So it's pretty exciting to do that. But yeah, so I'm super tired. My brain, if I sound like a crazier person than usual today, don't know why. I haven't slept very much in the last couple of days, but I am super proud and super humbled by the young men that I get to coach. So it was an exciting weekend. And then we get to start girls tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. So, yahoo! Jack, Jack, how you been?
Yeah, busy as always. Had a very interesting weekend, which I'm going to talk about obviously later on in Force Encounters. Met up with some listeners as well. Big shout out to the Coopers, Smiths, and Jemima as well. Wayne and Helen were saying about their daughter. Someone to look out for in the UK that's going to hit the music scene big time. So you're going to hear it here first. Lots of awesome music coming from her. Yeah, currently sat now waiting. Got a full week ahead of American football, so getting stuck into that. Got the wife's birthday as well this weekend. And yeah, it's not been too bad. How about you, Charlie?
Oh my goodness, I'm doing good. It's been another week of house stuff and moving and sorting, which is crazy. It feels like it's all happening so quickly after weeks of just stillness and silence from everybody. It's been great. However, I am super excited because on Tuesday I am going to London to see Tom Hiddleston and Hayley Atwell in Much Ado About Nothing at the Drury Lane Theatre, and I am
Ooh.
unbelievably excited. This will be my second time seeing Tom Hiddleston on stage, my second time seeing him in Shakespeare, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm gonna try and get to meet him at the stage door afterwards, which would be amazing. So that's
Nice.
that's all I can think about.
Nice. Fingers crossed. If you do meet him, you need to ask him the questions of one, do you listen to Explore the Force? And two, if you're in the Star Wars universe, who would or what would you want to be? Anyway,
See, I would, but I need you to both understand. I won't be speaking to him. I will just be sobbing. I've been in love with this man since I was about, I say like 15, 16 years old. I have a tattoo dedicated to him. It's a whole thing. Like it's a whole thing. I will just be sobbing.
oh
So
wow,
I won't be able to say a word.
nice. Well, hopefully you got some words to say because let's head into this week's Force Encounters.
For my ally is the Force.
Oh my goodness, my Force encounters this week has to be I got to sit in on the recording of Jimmy and Mike's show where they chatted about The Last Jedi, the little live stream, because my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend was one of the people speaking. And it was just so nice to sit and hear her be like in her element talking about one of her favorite bits of Star Wars. It was so nice for her to meet you, Jimmy, and like she and Mike, and she had such a wonderful time, like genuinely highlight of my week.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was part of mine as well. It was awesome to get to meet her and to yeah, she schooled us in some The Last Jedi, and what a positive episode. We got tons of great feedback on the fact
Yeah.
that we were
Hmm.
having, Mike and I still are out. I mean, we just it doesn't land for us, but
It's okay.
Sydney and Jessica's, they had some great points. They, next time if I
Yeah.
ever watch it again, um, I'll see it from a different point of view, and that's what it's all about. And then, of course, we're making new friends on that show. And am I allowed to announce that we won that thing? Am I allowed to do that?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
don't know which one of us does it because we all run the social media, but we were fortunate enough the Force is with us. We won Rebel Scum Arts, some artwork that he produced, one of four, and we won it. That's the first time I ever won one of those things that's happened on Instagram. So I was like, oh, I wonder why we got clicked on this. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow. And
Mm.
so that was very exciting that we won and that we know exactly what we're going to do with it, don't we, Jack?
We do. We're sending it over to Charlie as a massive housewarming gift. And a big shout out, obviously, as well to Rebels Come Art for the awesome competition. If you've not
Yes.
already, guys and girls, check out his Instagram. He's incredibly talented. Some awesome, awesome art. I met him at Festival of the Force as well. Got chatting to him. Absolute gentleman. Again, from all of us, thank you so much for that. This week's Force encounter for me has been huge. So I was fortunate
Yes, it
enough
has.
to go down to the Mecca of film studios in the UK, the Pinewood Studios. So much going on, so many questions people are asking, so much information, insight, knowledge. I have no idea what I can share, if that makes sense. So I'll just share it all
Mhm.
anyway, because I have zero care. So where do we start? So much going on. They had loads and loads of Star Wars goodness. They had all the lightsabers from the Acolyte out. The girl on the stand was very engaging, lots of information. Essentially, he was telling me, because the lightsabers look pretty big. If you've not seen the pictures, they're on our socials. And they were purposely done that way to make it look a bit more realistic and bulky on the hilts when they were carrying them. I asked about the Stranger's lightsaber as well, how it's connected. Is it a screw? Is it a magnet? How did it work? It's essentially as easy as a magnet and quite easily pull apart. I just wish I was able to hold it, if only. I then seen loads of other Marvel props as well. Got to meet some amazing people, some stunt performers, even the security guys, which might be coming on the show as well to talk about their experience at Pinewood Studios, which is extremely interesting. Again, all the guys and girls from the UK Garrison, Rebel Legion, absolutely crushed it with their costumes. Basically, it was an event where up and coming like students and artists or anyone that's trying to get involved in the film industry wanted to jump in and get involved. We also had a private tour in and around the Pinewood Studios area, which was amazing. Again, I'm not going to say too much about that though, but that was a really insightful tour, mainly history stuff. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And then yeah, it's just seeing a lot of the things, what's been, how they make props. There was animatronics, so like the creatures moving. There was 3D rendering going on. There was like a live studio being streamed at the same time. People were getting involved in. They had a forest in there, and exclusive thing I am going to say, and I'm sure I'm allowed to say it, but if I'm not, I'm saying it anyway. So Andor Season 2 trailer. That scene where the guy's running through the cornfield, that corn was actually grown in Pinewood Studios, in one of the studios. Actual corn grown.
Everyone thinks that's Dantooine. That's what I heard.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Actual corn. And I said, well, what did they do with the corn once they're done with it? Apparently, they shipped it off to America.
I have a lot of things to say about that, but I'm just going to move on.
Yeah. And I think that's a good segue for us to move on then into this week's news.
The people in this crowd will soon be among almost 40,000.
For those who are among the 900 with news media or promotional tickets, this sneak preview probably will be the only chance to see The Empire Strikes Back.
All right, so first up, Harrison Ford is pulled out of presenting at the 2025 Oscars with Mark Hamill replacing him. So there we go. We still got the Star Wars family showing up. Hopefully Harrison Ford recovers soon as he gets over a bout of shingles, but not a bad replacement. Yeah, so I mean, you get Han Solo or you get Luke Skywalker. But yeah, we really do hope that Harrison gets healthy and he's back to his grumpy self in no time.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Also, we had the Andor Season 2 trailer drop this week with a little bit of news that each week is essentially a year with 3 episodes showing per week, which is going to be crazy difficult, I think, for us podcasters to recap. We still don't know, do we, the time zone it's being dropped at. However, being, I think, the only international Star Wars podcast, we should be all right. However, those that are only one time zone based and have full-time jobs are probably going to really struggle. But best of luck to you. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait. The trailer was absolutely amazing. All the people I've spoken to as well loved it. A lot of people mentioned about the music where their initial thoughts, they didn't like it. And then getting back to me, Lee Drain was one of the listeners. He mentioned he loved the music. It grew on him. I really liked it. I thought it was brilliant. I love the trailer as well. Interesting clip I saw with Saw Gerrera having no breathing apparatus, so he looks a lot healthier than he was in Rogue One. So see what's going on with him. Got lots of theories that we're going to cover, obviously, I'm sure, in a later episode. But yeah, what's your thoughts on the trailer, on the news stuff? Start with you, Jimmy.
Oh, I loved it. I know we did talk about that. Yeah, we met together.
Yeah, we did a quick live reaction.
Together, but yeah, I loved it. I loved the music from the get-go. I went back and I listened to that music and just the way it hit. I get why people may not like, the real world music and, kind of different from like what Skeleton Crew did with the Hut Tease version of Major Tom, which I thought was really clever. But yeah, I loved it. I can't wait, listening to different breakdowns. Was at Dantooine for the first time on live action, from Princess Leia telling them, Rebel base and stuff like that. So that'll be exciting to see if that's really that planet or not. I love it. I can't wait. My only downside of this is that we have no idea how the hell we're going to cover it because we're getting 3 episodes in one drop, and like you said, we all have full-time jobs and we don't know when it's coming yet. So hopefully that information comes soon. And then of course, maybe we get to do something a little with it when we're in Japan. What about you, Charlie? You still feeling it? I know you were excited as well when we watched.
I'm going to explode with excitement. I'm absolutely delirious about Andor season 2. I really am. The trailer came just when I needed it. I feel like the energy and the vibes of the show are very much needed right now. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. I'm super super excited. I don't get you guys understand we are getting a movie a week for a
Yes.
month straight. We haven't had a Star Wars film since 2019. Like I can't wrap my head around this. I really, really can't. It's crazy to me. I don't know how we're gonna cover it. I don't care how we're gonna cover it, but I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. And it's just the potential for it. I know it's done and ready to go, but the potential for it, all the characters are gonna have to cover in that span of time. I think it's just gonna be glorious, glorious Star Wars and storytelling. And we'll see how that fits the narrative in our real world soon. So I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. What other news we got, Charlie?
So, for any of our listeners in the UK, there is an exhibition of one of the UK's largest collections of Star Wars collectibles, and it's on show in Stoke-on-Trent. The Toy Strike Back includes vintage action figures and ships, along with mannequin displays of iconic characters such as Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and Yoda, as well as a rare Stormtrooper helmet and blaster from the first film. The exhibition will be at the Potteries Museum and Art Gallery in Hanley from the 1st of March to the 1st of June. Now, I don't know about you, Jack, or you, Jimmy, but I'm a huge fan. I'm not a collector personally, but I am a huge fan of vintage Star Wars toys, and I attend a con every year in the UK called Echo Base Live, which is like Europe's largest Star Wars toy convention. So the more of
Yeah.
that, the happier I am, to be quite honest with you. I might see if I can pop down. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll be at Echo Base this year for the meal. Unfortunately, I can't make the toy fair the next day, but I'm definitely going to tie in with yourself then, Charlie, and we'll go and make a day out together, shall we?
Why not? A little podcast trip for some journalism purposes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jimmy, what's your thoughts, bud?
Man, you guys get all the best stuff.
I knew he was thinking that. I knew he was thinking that.
I'm trying to behave myself this episode, but just another reason to move to the UK.
Yeah.
Come on
I
down.
love it.
You'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love your guys' country. I love the history. I love all that. And every time I'm there, I love it. And it does really seem like, and I know I don't live in a major city, and I get that. I'm sure there's lots of things that happen in New York and out in Los Angeles and things like that. But it's not. I don't hear about it the way I hear about the stuff that happens over in London, and I'm always a little bit jealous of all the stuff you guys get to do. So that's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. But one thing I will get to do, and hopefully you guys will get to do it too, is when we get back from celebration, the Star Wars goodness will not be over. It'll just, this is where the fun will begin, I guess, is we are getting Star Wars Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary re-release in the theaters. We've talked about our journeys with the prequels and the up and downs for myself, and then of course Love Fest from some of you guys as well. I'm super excited about this. I can't wait. Gotta get my hands on that poster. That thing looks beautiful as well. 20 years. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
It's just crazy
Yeah.
to think about. I remember. I went to the 12:05 a.m. showing when I was at school in Pennsylvania at Penn State, and I remember getting my tickets, and every theater was playing Revenge of the Sith on like 5-minute intervals, so that it ended. And I mean, that's all they played. And that was hype Star Wars time, and I really I hope to get back to that someday. I hope the stuff we're going to talk about and some of the news that's coming out of the conversation we're going to talk about brings back that kind of excitement. But yeah, I'm pumped. Star Wars on the big screen, even if I've seen it a million times, I'm here for it. Haven't seen this one on the big screen, I don't think, since probably 20 years ago. So it's pretty exciting. What about you guys? You guys excited for this? Will this be happening in the UK as well, or is this just a American re-release?
I think it's going to be in the UK as well.
Awesome.
Surely it's going to be in the UK. It has to be. Posters shouldn't be an issue for me. I know some people in the cinema business, so I'll try and get some posters for us guys. But yeah, definitely be going. April's an expensive month though if you're a Star Wars fan and going celebration as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly is. Wouldn't want it to be my wallet, goodness me. But no, I am very excited. Hopefully, I will be able to take my other half because if you guys listen to the stream with Jimmy and Mike, she's never actually seen a Star Wars film in the cinema.
That
So
is exciting. We need some I want immediate feedback when you guys get out of the theater.
live reaction as she's coming out of the
Yes,
cinema. It'll just
yes.
be her sobbing. I hope you know that.
We'll
Like
take it. We'll
ugly.
take it. We'll take it. That's exciting though. Your first Star Wars film in the theater, surround sound, THX, all that stuff. Man, that is going to be huge.
It is. That'll be a wicked night out. And the last bit of news is probably the biggest bit of news. What have we got, Charlie?
Hot off the press and fresh out of Batu, Kathleen Kennedy has been all over the headlines this week. So, is everyone sitting comfortably? Get a snack, get a drink, settle in, because this is a bit of a roller coaster of a week. So, on Monday night, Matthew Boloney for Puck News published an article which was behind a paywall, I would like to point out, so I had to do a bit of digging to get through to it. And according to him, he said that there are 3 separate sources stated that Kathleen Kennedy had informed Disney, friends, and associates that she will exit Lucasfilms as Lucasfilm's president by the end of the year. And oh my goodness, did this blow up like you would never believe. We had Hollywood Reporter, we had Variety, we had everything from the top newspaper sources all the way down to Bespin Bulletin. I'm a hater, I'll carry on being a hater. The Star Wars news pages were making their posts. It was everywhere. The internet was absolutely abuzz. How did you guys feel when you saw this? Did you think it was legit? Did you think it was serious? Did you think it was just another one of the kind of rumor mills that happens every couple of years? Gimme.
Because I was going to be like, oh, should we cover this? But I was like, you know what? This happens. This is like, in the 13 years she's been the head of Lucasfilm, how many times have we heard this? People calling for her head, and then, oh, she's
Mhm.
retiring this year, then she signs a new contract. It does sound like it's happening within the next few years, though, because I mean, once we get into the article, but again, I mean, and everybody went crazy with it. I mean, the Hollywood Reporters,
Mhm.
pretty sound, and Variety and all them, and then all of our friends, podcasters. I mean, people were doing their own episodes
Yeah.
on this, and I felt not that it was a waste of time. I just felt like, why don't we wait until Kathleen comes out? Because until I hear it from her or Lucasfilm, I'm never believing anything negative. I'm not believing anything positive or negative about Kathleen Kennedy unless it's from
Yeah.
Lucasfilm or herself, because she just has she's such a polarizing figure, um, in our fandom and stuff like that, and in the business world, that I mean, everyone just tries to use her for their own personal gain, like you said, behind a paywall. So it's like, here's a
Mhm.
really clickbaity headline. Give me
Yeah.
some money, and then I can show you that. And I have some other thoughts, but I'll let you go first, Jack, because I kind of have some. I think that these conversations. I mean, she says these conversations are being had, but I think it's coming later. Personally,
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely more to it. And like Jimmy said, as soon as I've seen this pop up, I was thinking, shall we cover it? Shall we not? We've seen it pop up before. I'm pretty sure we have in the past. People jump on the bandwagon, haters, lovers, whoever they are. Um, yeah, I didn't quite believe it. I'm glad, and we do have to sit on the fence a little bit rather than jumping on it and
Mhm.
spreading it everywhere. And the fact, like you said, Charlie, you've done some digging. It's behind a paywall. It's major clickbait at the minute. People, anything to do with Kathleen Kennedy leaving is major clickbait. But I'm excited to dive into this topic. There's so many points. Go on, Jimmy.
I said the one positive thing about it, and I mean not positive, but it does lead to some discourse. I know, like, Guy Who Loves Star Wars, like, he did a whole show on, like, who should be next. We've talked about that. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about it today or not, but like, it has led to some discourse that's been positive. Like, who is next? Like,
Yeah,
what is the future look like? But I'm kind of looking forward to diving into this article with you guys, because this article I was on the fence with whether I thought it was real or not, and I'm on the fence with Kathleen Kennedy as well. So I think
yeah,
she's kind of like the Last Jedi to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's things I love and things I'm like, eh. So,
yeah,
Charlie, take us away.
Obviously, well, I have some interesting points for what you guys have said as well. I think as a fan, I find it extremely frustrating that we seem to go through this cycle every couple of years. And now I know that some people would argue that Kathleen Kennedy faces this kind of discourse because she's a woman, because people don't like the choices that she's made. But what I find it frustrating is nobody can just leave her alone. This is very, very much a clickbaity article, and I find it
yeah,
frustrating that sources like The Hollywood Reporter and Variety, these much more reputable, much more consistent, like I've looked up the kind of integrity of some of these bigger news sites. They are solid,
Yeah, oh yeah.
absolutely solid. So to pick up something like this with three unnamed sources, and now the backlash of this with Kathleen Kennedy coming out and kind of rebutting all of this, it now takes Puck News's credibility all the way down to the bottom. And it feels so pointless for what, 5 minutes of internet fame? It's
I mean,
frustrating.
yeah, like, how
It's
much was he
deeply
charging? $1 million?
frustrating.
Like, I mean, because yeah, I mean, you're right. I think
Mhm.
they've ruined themselves as far as like who's going to pay for information. Um, we'll see if a rebuttal's on its way. Who knows?
mm,
Maybe they do know something. I don't know. I mean, Kathleen's good at doing this dance too. I mean, she's been doing it for 13 years. I mean, she's been
She
under
has.
fire. And I mean, some of her answers are, I mean, she was ready for this.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah, she was
so
100. She had her notes, she had all of
yeah,
it.
she's ready to rock
So,
and roll. So
not only did this whole retirement story start gaining traction very, very quickly, loads and loads of articles started appearing about who is going to replace her. I know, Jimmy, this is something you did a little bit of looking into earlier on today. We've had everything from Dave Filoni, John Favreau, Kevin Feige, J.J. Abrams. A lot of this comes from Jeff Snyder, who I know we've talked about in the past. He's somebody who does have sources close to Lucasfilm. Can be a bit hit or miss. Take it with a pinch of salt. How do you, hypothetically, if we're talking in hypotheticals, who do you feel like would be a good replacement for Kathleen Kennedy? Because I would not want it to be Dave Filoni. I'm going to say that right now.
let me bring this up real quick. Almost hit the
There's
stop. Go ahead, Jeff.
there's so many people that there's so many people I think we've got to be careful of who we want for the reasons we want. I.e., I know a lot of people would probably go with Dave Filoni because of Star Wars, but what we've got to realise about Kathleen Kennedy it isn't just Star Wars that she oversees. You know, she's in that position there, and it's a
Yes.
very prestigious position, and it's Disney pretty much that she's looking after. Now she's got a really solid background, and rightly so as well. You know, she's walked away. She's got so many awards. She's extremely talented, and I get she's not everyone's cup of tea. That's perfectly fine. You know, not going to please everybody.
Yeah.
But I think whoever takes over her needs to have a solid business plan, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
it's a business. You know, the stuff that they're producing costs a lot of money, and money isn't free. So if we want even Star Wars to continue, it's got to be someone that's bringing in that revenue, which isn't that hard at the minute for us Star Wars fans, because we're just paying for everything and anything that's got Star Wars brand on
I
it.
love it. All of it.
They're not
Yeah,
having a hard time making money off of this.
yeah. Like we say this, and we're all surrounded by the Star Wars stuff, but you know, and something that one of the listeners said to me, it was Becky. She said, if someone was going to take over Disney, yes, there need to be some sort of business acumen with them, but also if it was a film producer, that would also make sense, because a film producer has got a lot of involvement with overseeing the film production. Obviously, they can work independently as well. They produce plans, coordinate various aspects of film production, so they'll know the ins and outs. They know things about selecting scripts, directing, editing, even arranging finances. So someone with that background of being a film producer would be ideal. But again, I think it's got to be someone with an array of experience, not just someone that's a really good director in Star Wars.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Charlie, me or you?
Jimmy, after you.
All right. So this is where with Kathleen Kennedy, you know, because I'm not one of those idiots who's like, well, I didn't like this, so Kathleen Kennedy is the worst person on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
I think, well, I loved Andor, I've loved Mando, I've loved, you know, I've majority of the stories I've loved. So I mean, the stuff that I don't like, yeah,
Yeah.
she's responsible, but she's also responsible for all the Star Wars goodness we've gotten since Disney's bought it. So, however, saying that, and the people I know, there's lots of people out there that say she has an agenda. I 100% believe she has an agenda, right? Like I don't think there's any, and it's fine. Everyone has an agenda. I get that, right? So when I think about that, and there's some really capable people, and I one of these names that popped up for me was let me see if I bring it up here, uh, Carrie Beck, right? I think that she's in here. She's executive vice president, live action development and production. She's works close, and then also Michelle Rejwan, who had has a I can't remember exactly what her position is. I know it's changed over the years, but they have a lot of capable people. I do believe that
Mhm.
if and it's not bad. I can't stress enough that I don't think it's a bad thing, but I have 100% believe that if when she resigns, that a female will take her place. It just seems
Yes.
like the force is female, all this stuff, and I get it. I'm totally fine with it. All I want is that person to be capable and ready to go, and I don't care who they are. I don't care what they look like. I don't care where they're from. I don't care what language they speak. Just do a good job, get organized. I would like to see more of a we talk about the High Republic, and I know that's hit or miss, but one thing you can't say about the High Republic is it's not planned and organized. I'd love to see a more group of
Yes.
people that being a bigger group. I agree with you. I don't think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, because I don't want to take away their creativity because they're going to be swamped in paperwork.
Exactly.
If you take them out of, it's just like with teachers, they're always like, well, you should become an administrator. I'm like, why? I like teaching. Like, as soon as you leave
Yeah.
the classroom, you're no longer a teacher, you know? And so as soon as you take him out of being the creative, what is he, chief creative officer, and you put him in charge of all the stuff Jack just read off, you know, budgets, money, scripts. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool because he'd get stuff made, but I still don't think one person should have that responsibility because he's not infallible. You know what I mean? Like, I think it should be like a group effort, as far as the ideas and the stories and things like that. So, but I do believe there's very capable people. You see Carrie Beck's name on just about everything that comes out with Star Wars because of her position. So she's worked close with Kathleen. She knows the ins and outs of
Mhm.
things. And if they're going to drive forward with their concepts and things like that, then why not her? I mean, she's in house. She knows
Yeah.
what she's doing. She's probably, of course. I mean, there's a ton. But I agree with you, Charlie, 100%. And again, I cannot stress enough. I'm not bashing. Everyone has their agenda. Everyone wants things. I get that, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Mhm.
Just give us a good person, not just because of who they are, but what they can do for Star Wars. And I'll be down. Let's go.
I couldn't put it better myself, quite honestly. I have to agree with you. I adore Dave Filoni, John Favreau, JJ Abrams. I adore these people. I think their contributions to creativity are unending and hugely, hugely appreciated, especially when it comes to things like Star Wars. Don't stop them being able to do that. I feel like if, especially Filoni, if he was given a position with this much scope, he would lose so much of that creativity that we would lose that amazing mind and what he's put to Star Wars and the legacy that he's built with George and Kathleen. I wouldn't want to see that go anywhere. But I think there are some fantastic names. But I also think Kathleen Kennedy will go when she is ready to go. This lady is 71. She's 72 this year. I had no idea. She looks
No, yeah,
absolutely
no idea
incredible.
she was that
And
old.
she's obviously deeply, deeply passionate about Star Wars. I say this every time this discussion is brought up. George hand-picked her, hand-selected, didn't want anyone else to do it except for her. And I quite honestly think she smashed it out of the park. What would you do with the weight of the Star Wars legacy on your shoulders? Like, I think if some of these fans took a moment to sit back and be like, what would I do with it? I'd fall to pieces.
Yeah,
Hmm.
fold like a deck of cards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
we had all of this talk, all of this discussion. Once again, you've had good opinions, bad opinions. I'm very glad to say that I didn't actually see a lot of negative opinion. Obviously, I've tried very hard to make my Star Wars space a very positive one. I don't really interact with that side of the fandom, but it's nice to see that a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'd be sad to see her go. This doesn't feel like the right time," or "I wonder who's going to." It wasn't as toxic as I was expecting it to be. And all of this culminated in, I don't quite know how Deadline managed this, but they've cornered her with a microphone and said, "Listen, what's going on?" So I shared this article with both of you guys today, and it is a long haul. I have done my best to kind of condense it as neatly as possible, but in full, I have to read kind of the first quote she makes. They ask her straight up, "Are you retiring anytime soon?" And I quote, "The truth is, and I want to just say loud and clear, I am not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say. I am not retiring. What's happening at Lucasfilm is I have been talking for quite some time with Bob and Alan about what eventual succession might look like. We have an amazing bench of people here, and we have every intention of making an announcement months or a year down the road. We are in lockstep as to do what's going to be, and I'm continuing. I'm producing the Mandalorian movie right now, and I'm also producing Sean Levy's movie, which is after that. So I'm continuing to stay at Lucasfilm and looking very thoughtfully with Bob and Alan as to who's stepping in. So that is all underway, and we have every right to make that announcement when we want to make it."
Take control of the narrative, Kathleen, and she just grabbed it by the horns. That was probably the most honest answer that I think she's ever given, because she does put her foot in it sometimes, because she tells us things and says
Yeah.
things and none of it, so like, Mike and I have talked about it a lot too, and we've talked about a lot on this portion of our show too, is like, I think she gets a bad rap because, I mean, I know some people don't like the stuff she's done, but it's all the promises that we get, and then we don't, then they're never delivered
Yeah.
on. So it does sound like from this conversation that they're kind of figuring things out. I mean, it's taken 13 years, but,
Mhm.
and of course there's a plan. Like, she's not going to do that forever. Now, I like the fact she said she's not going to retire from making movies. Someone in her position, after they're done with Lucasfilm, I see her going out, finding young filmmakers, indie filmmakers, and helping them, because why wouldn't she, right? She's been on this blockbuster end of things and making these. I mean, she's made some of the biggest movies in the history of
Yep.
film, right? And you can hate on her if you want, but you can't take away the facts that she has produced so much and so many, and all the awards and the money that
She's
she's brought
produced
into.
over 100 television like pieces and films in her
Yes.
career.
And she
And
got something like
so,
25 awards as well for it.
yeah. So I just
Yes.
see her moving on when she wants to, and doing, get that stuff
Mhm.
underway, come out. Mando and Grogu hits, like, she's gonna want to go out on top, right? She's gonna want to go out, like, if Mando and Grogu hit, she's out after that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like winning the Super Bowl and retiring. Poor Travis Kelsey has to come back another
Yes.
season, but and I could easily see her just moving on and, like, using her influence and her reputation and all of her contacts to go out and give back to the community, give back to young filmmakers, hopefully men and women, and help them out. I think that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jimmy's hit the nail on the head with that little bit as well. And like
Mm.
like you reading out there, Charlie, it's like she has a real passion for movies and films. That's why she's been where she is for so long and doing what she does so well for so long. And I think a lot of fans, like you said, are upset because promises have been made or things have been said and not seen through, which I get. Again, it's totally fine. And with anything, everyone looks for the scapegoat, and it's unfortunately been Kathleen's head. She's the mouth of Disney or the mouth of Star Wars at the minute.
Mhm.
But you can't question the passion at all.
No, not in the slightest. It felt very, very impassioned, and obviously, I'm just reading words on a screen. But I've listened to quite a few interviews with Kathy Kennedy, and she's very, very well spoken and a very, very impassioned creator, and that makes me so, so happy.
I wish this was on.
Deadline asked a few more questions about kind of replacements possible, and she's relatively vague in those replies. She says specifically when asking kind of, you're looking at Dave Filoni, he's in a good position. She says, I can't say who it is because there's an internal process that goes on inside a large corporation and a publicly held company. Basically, it's none of our business,
Yeah, I
which
mean,
I'm
sure,
fine with.
you can tell us anything, like,
Yeah,
oh, I think it's Dave, and then John Favreau gets pissed, and he, he's like, I'm done making the Mando
Yeah.
movie, or, like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, there's always politics in everything. So, I just wish we could, like you said, I wish that we could have seen this. I wish it would have been recorded at this event so we can kind of see her body language a little bit, because I think that would also tell us a little bit more.
yeah,
Because it's easy to take, and you see these responses and you're like, all right, but I would love to have seen her body language when she was delivering this stuff as well. But
Mm.
I do like the answers. I mean, what I know, they probably didn't expect a real answer, or maybe she slips up, but she's been doing this for so long, she's not slipping up.
no, no. And like she
No.
said, there's a big process behind all this, so they're clearly taking the time going through it. I think with what's been said as well, they sort of know who they want, or the type of person at least.
Yeah, do you? I mean, yeah. I mean, I know we're focusing on this. I mean, I guess we probably could do a whole episode of who should take over. Like, that's
Yes.
not really what the topic is today. But, like, yeah, just imagine, heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? I mean, just the pressure, like you guys said, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
someone has got to want the job too, though, because, I mean, we do have directors who won't work with Star Wars because they don't want to deal with the fans, and I mean, I think
Hmm.
if you throw enough millions of dollars at somebody, they'll probably take the job for a while, but you want someone consistent, the next Kevin Feige, whoever that is, whoever she is, let's go.
yeah,
I couldn't absolutely 100%. I I do urge our listeners and our viewers to go and kind of read through this whole Deadline article because I feel like I am skimming the surface over here. There are paragraphs of response from her that really kind of dig into the nuts and bolts of some of these rumors. There's a line I particularly enjoy where the interviewer says, "This flurry of press coverage, it sounds like chaos. What's the reality?" And she says, "Chaos. There's never been any chaos because we know exactly what the plan is." See, do you feel like as some of these statements are kind of fan pacifying, do you feel like this is a way to get us to kind of all settle down when actually maybe it is chaos behind the scenes? Because I sense you're not taking this as genuinely as maybe I am.
Well, I think they have it figured out now,
Yeah,
but
Hmm.
I do think, I mean, like, and just looking at the stuff that Mike and I are covering on Jedi and the Mailman with the or the sequel trilogy is example number one of how they didn't know what was going on. They didn't have a plan. Now, do and she's been in this position for 13 years. She hasn't been removed. They've learned. I think they're probably in lockstep now, and I think because communication is key. Like you have to communicate.
massive.
Yeah, I mean, just think about like the jobs that you work, and just the three of us communicating, right? I mean, and what do we do? You know what I mean? Like there's no pressure on us, and so you get this gajillion-dollar business that's running the world
Yeah,
basically.
Hmm.
Communication's got to be key. I think they probably do have the plan. I think it's probably lockstep now, but I believe the early beginnings, the pressure to make money, it was chaos,
yeah,
absolute chaos. I mean, I if you can't refute, I don't feel like you can refute that, just given the mess that the sequel trilogies turned out. Now you can love all the movies and all that, but you can tell there was no plan. So hopefully they learn from that, and I do hope that she's not just feeding us a line that everyone
yeah,
is on lockstep. 'Cause, I mean, they did bring Bob Iger back. I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, they had to bring him back because Chapek was driving Disney into the ground. So um,
Hmm.
Bob seems to be in control again. Things are kind of righting that ship because when he came back, they had to do a lot of things that weren't very good. So yeah, but again, it's that hesitation where like fool me once, So I was always going to be a little bit of doubt with me until I see something that's a little bit better planned out.
yeah, yeah,
Guys, you're absolutely guiding me through this. This is brilliant. I did want to pick up specifically. There was a section where she was asked about how she feels about having being part of and like in charge of a franchise that
Oh
suffers
yeah.
so much public scrutiny and is second guessed by a very rabid fan base, which I think is
Oh,
a brilliant way of describing us. We're all a little bit rabid.
we
And
are.
she replied with, "What you just said is so interesting to me because that's the development. It doesn't matter if you're doing Star Wars or anything else, but what's troubling and frustrating is that our development gets scrutinized. And I don't know any other production company where their development gets scrutinized like that. It's very hard for anything to happen within Star Wars without some aspect of it becoming public before you even want it to become public."
yeah,
That's interesting. I do think with the increase of I mean, I guess we're a part of it. Podcasters, journalists, people invested in those aspects of Star Wars. It becomes about
yeah,
who can get the scoop the quickest, who can get the newest, juiciest bit of information out and on the headlines, who can get those clicks and engagement. And I can imagine as a producer who started this when Disney streaming didn't exist, and now it does. I can imagine that's a hell of a lot to manage. I think, yeah, it's a tricky one. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's a fair point for her to make?
Go ahead, Jack.
I think so. Because I'm just trying to think off the top of my head now, another production company that is scrutinised as much, and the reasons why. So I think the reasons why it's scrutinised so much is because the fan base is so vocal. I mean, try and compare this to like Star Trek. Okay, so Star Trek really hasn't. In my perspective, Star Trek hasn't really taken off again as people
No.
thought it might. It's had quite a few new things coming out. I've not watched it myself, but didn't they have something like not a sing along, what's the word, like a musical sort of version or something? They're all singing or
Yeah,
something.
there's been some animated series and a couple of other bits and pieces, but nothing's taken off quite like the kind of next generation era did.
Yeah,
It's not had
Um,
its resurgence the way Star Wars kind of has. Like I think Mandalorian was the kind of peak of that resurgence as Disney Plus came in and launched with The Mandalorian. Suddenly Star Wars went again.
yeah. So I think a lot of this scrutinization as well, it comes from the fact that Disney is probably the number one name in all things film as well. I'd argue because it's
Mm.
in charge of your Marvel, your Star Wars, and it's so there was so little Star Wars that as new things came out, it was like a gold mine. Everything's a gold mine. And we're all guilty of it. As soon as we hear anything Star Wars, anything new Star Wars, we're jumping on it straight away because it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
so passionate about it. So I think she's definitely got a point. And it's a tough cookie to crack. I think. What do you reckon, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think these are big IPs, and I think what makes us all great fans is the passion, but it also makes us the worst fans. Marvel
Yes.
goes through it. Marvel's, he says there, like, Feige's getting some shrapnel because of like the movies haven't been great. They all seem the same or whatever. Amazon just got the rights to James Bond, so imagine what they're about to go through, right? $1 billion to buy the
Yeah.
rights to James Bond, and then $8 million to buy MGM. So they spent $9 billion. And so what's that going to look like? Are they going to take that franchise? I mean, that's going to take some heat. Any big franchise, they're going to get crushed. I mean, but right now, like the biggest one, and they all fall under the mouse house is Marvel and Star Wars, right? Um, and
Yeah.
I'm a Star Trek guy, but like, yeah, like I love going to see a Star Trek movie. Like, absolutely, like, yeah, new Star Trek movie, let's go. But I don't watch a lot of the extra stuff, so I couldn't really speak for that.
Yeah.
I'm not, I like Marvel too, but I'm not into it like we are this. So I have a hard time knowing, are those fans shredding it the way we shred it? And I think that it's kind of funny, like my journey, like we've talked about, is like I was like the passionate negative person, like when I first got getting back into Star Wars, and where that passion, if it's used for good, you got to feed the good wolf, not the bad wolf, and you can be unhappy about stuff. But yeah, she's right. I mean, that's the problem with who wants to take that over and uh and be getting hammered like that. So, but those people, they believe in themselves, they believe in their abilities. I don't know. I think that um whoever we get will be fine. But yeah, it is bonkers that Star Wars gets, because that's the thing too, is like reshoots. Oh, the world's ending because they're reshooting. They reshoot on every film, but it
Mhm.
happens on Star Wars. All hell's breaking loose. It's gonna be the worst movie ever, and so it's a little unfair, I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you guys more. So they shift the tone of the interview from asking about all of this stuff to do with are you retiring, are you not retiring, to trying to get some details about all of the upcoming films. So we know that Kathleen Kennedy, especially, and Disney slash Star Wars have a history of announcing all of these projects. And then the writer will change, and then the director will shift over, and then the timeline will shift, and then we're trying in this article to dig a little, and she's given a little bit, but we're not getting an awful lot back. So I want to kind of try and break some of that down for you guys because it's quite a lot. So they start off with asking her about how Deadline broke a piece last fall about Simon Kinberg making a deal to write and produce a trilogy. How is that going? And she said, "We are absolutely rolling fast and furiously. Ha 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 ha. This has gone exceptionally well, and he's literally going to script as we speak." I'm sorry, Kathleen Kennedy, I love and adore you, and I respect everything you do. I have heard that sentence about 100 times now over so many things. What does it mean?
Nothing. It means nothing,
She says,
It's
we'll see something probably around June.
and it'll
I'll be
change.
brutally honest with you guys. I kind of forgot we were getting another trilogy.
The Simon Kinberg stuff, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of straight over my head. Specifically, she clarifies in a couple of answers down about how these things she's talking about are all post nine, as she refers to it. So post the nine movies, everything past the sequel trilogy, post Rise of Skywalker. So they're really trying to push into the new era of Star Wars and move away from what I guess you'd call like the legacy era, if you want to phrase it that way. Um, it kind of goes insane. They ask about Sean Levy's movie, and she says this is also in the future. It's all post 9. It's a standalone Star Wars movie, maybe 5 or 6 years out. She briefly talks about the Mandalorian, the New Republic. I, oh, what guys? What's happening?
These are all trained answers. She gets asked these sort of questions, I think. So a lot of this is just, straight off the training sheet, sort
I
of
think so.
to guide people away. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. This is the thing where people get upset with her, though. And again,
Yes.
even if it's not her, whoever's given her these answers to say needs to either change how it's being put on the paper or just actually have some sustenance to actually what's being said. So, for example, if they know for sure that something's going to happen in June, then make sure it happens in June. Because this is the stuff
Yeah.
that people get upset with. And this is stuff that everyone, it's human nature. I've got kids. If I tell my kids you can have a sweet when we get home or whatever, if I don't give them sweets, my daughter Tessa will let me know about it. And Star Wars fans, I'm pretty sure we're all the same. If we don't get our sweets in June,
Correct.
we're gonna come knocking.
Kathleen Kennedy, I will have a tantrum.
Yeah.
I'll need to be put in
Regarding
timeout.
the Sean Levy stuff, she says they're very much focused on the Mandalorian movie right now. I completely understand that. It feels like that's
Yeah.
probably taking up a lot of the volume and a lot of just
There's a
everything else
lot
at
of
the moment.
pressure
I
on that.
completely respect
They're
that.
riding that big
She
time, I
says,
think.
oh yeah, absolutely. She also said that specifically the Sean Levy movie, pretty much new characters. We may bring some of the characters back from the sequel saga, so keep your eyes peeled for all of the clickbait articles about that one single line from this interview. Yeah, they ask her again about kind of development type projects, how many she has, and I quote, percolating, love that word, brilliant word, that you feel confident will turn into something down the line. And she said to play it safe, I'd say 3 or 4 right at the moment. A large part of it, Mike, is the talent that we're attaching, and Mike's the interviewer. A talent we're attaching, and that's a challenge in on itself these days because people get really, really busy. This is a theme I've seen throughout this interview when she's asked about specific people, and especially people like Taika Waititi. I know we've all been excited about the possibility of that. She says straight up that she just cannot get a pin down on him. She just can't get a hold of him. He's busy, he's working with other writers, he's doing other things. She's seen bits, she likes it, but that's as far as it's gone. But I can imagine when you've just had to read for the 8th time online that you're supposedly retiring when actually you're not retiring. I can imagine she's pretty fed up.
Yeah, it can get wearing, I'll bet.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm as a coach and things like that. If I say the wrong thing, coach, you're retired, you're done. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's just like this weekend.
Exactly.
The boys are talking.
Exactly.
They got Monday off. Like I gave them Monday off from school. Like I have that power. Like that was the rumor I had to diffuse after the. I'm like, guys, like I can't do that. Like I understand if you don't come to school, but that's on your parents. Like things just and then you just put. Yeah, it's bonkers. This is the area where I get really mad at Kathleen. I just wish she'd be honest with us. I think it would go a lot further. And I deal with this in the business. I know people don't think teaching is a business, but it is. And I have been screaming from the rooftops about communication and being open and being honest about what is and isn't happening. It's fine if there's only 1 or 2 things happening, but make those happen. So, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like this whole Taika Waititi thing, it's like we've heard this before. Like he can't finish the movie. Like he's got the first 2 acts, and the third act is not landing for him. But um, that doesn't give me a lot of hope that it's ever going to get done if it's not a priority.
No.
But you also can't push creative people. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm supposed to be doing something, that's when I'm really great at doing something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
Like, oh, I need to do this for
Procrastination.
school. Yeah, and not even Yeah, I mean it is procrastination, but you're being productive, but not on what you need to be. Like I'm like, oh, I'll go do
Hmm.
this, and then all of a sudden I've like written something, or I've done, I've cleaned my room, or I've done, I've built a project. I'm like, oh, I was supposed to do this for school, or I was supposed to do this for whatever. So
Yeah.
maybe he'll start working on something big and get sidetracked and then finish a Star Wars movie. That'd be nice. Because I mean that would just be completely different, and I think the universe and the fandom could use something of his ilk if we can get If we can get a Thor, what was the third one called?
Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok. If we can get a Thor Ragnarok type film in Star Wars, sign me up. I don't want a Thor Love and Thunder type film though.
No.
So,
Fair.
but yeah, I don't know. This is a part where she makes me mad. And then she's talking about 5 or 6 years. I mean, holy crap! I'm gonna be getting my senior citizen card by the time these movies come out.
But
At least
that's an
I don't
interesting
want to be
point.
nearly 40.
I'll be paying half price for the movies, kids.
Yeah, that's an interesting point as well, because I think a lot of the time is they're probably scared that fans will move on because the industry now is it's rapid. Things are changing, new things are
Yeah.
coming out. So a lot of fans might. I think she might. Well, she thinks
Staying in the algorithm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could wait 5 or 6 years for something Star Wars. That's not an issue. I'm going nowhere. But because they've chucked it out now so fast and so much, the expectation level now for probably a large portion of Star Wars fans is they want new stuff every single year, and they want at least 2 new shows and a movie. Where I think if we slowed right down, and we've said it constantly, we'd rather have the quality over quantity for sure.
I feel like we can get to a place where, like, if they can get rolling, then we can have quality and we can have quantity, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me if we're getting good Star Wars and we're getting a Christmas movie and a summer movie, who's going to be mad about that if we're getting that? We could have
Yeah.
different storylines going. But it's the quality, like you said, Jack, that it hasn't been there for some of us in some places. Like, I'm going upstairs to watch The Rise of Skywalker after this to get ready for Tuesday to finish up our sequel stuff. And, it's a mixed bag, but they've rushing all this stuff. So I guess that's a good thing that they're not putting heat on Taika, to kind of go back to that. Like, they're not
Yeah.
putting heat on him, like, you have to finish this. Like Michael Arndt, who got canned on Force Awakens because he likes to take a 3-year process to write something, but they didn't want to wait 3 years. They wanted it now. And so maybe that is a good sign. But maybe if we're doing this and they're planning in this process, then we get to a point where, she has this whole thing and whoever comes in just gets to come right in and then gets to keep adding to that list and just keeps to get building on it and building on it. And, 1 movie and 2 shows a year, 2 movies, 1 show a year, like flip flop it, whatever. Just, we do need content though. Like, I mean, there's lots of stuff they can do.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Well, thank you guys for coming to my entire breakdown of this Kathleen Kennedy drama. I've had a really, really, really good time, to be fair. Again, go and read through the whole article. There's some really lovely comments about Tony Gilroy at the bottom, and the interviewer very cheekily says about, do you think you'll be able to strong arm Tony Gilroy into doing a Star Wars film? And Kathleen Kennedy says, So we shall see. I feel like if you have a dig, there's quite a few little gems about what's coming up soon and what we've got to look forward to. But yeah, it's been a week, guys. It's been a week of Star Wars drama, and I have been right there the entire time going, what the heck?
I have one final thought. You think this is all hype to build up towards Celebration, though? Because they do this stuff on purpose. They build up hype with negative and positive stuff.
Oh,
Do you think this is like a, hey, let's get this article out there? I mean, we've had people accusing Disney of doing worse things. So, you know, are they getting the media train fired up for what's going to happen in April? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this all, and they're going to drop some stuff on us at Celebration, but then again, we're in that same trap where all 3 of us are like, we're going to throw our temper tantrums because we're not going to get what we're promised. So I just wonder too. I mean, what did we say? I mean, episode 100 will be from Japan, like 6 weeks, folks. 6 weeks.
Who knows?
no.
Yeah. So I just wonder. I'm skeptical, I guess, and I watch too many conspiracy theory shows or movies or spy shows or whatever.
No,
So
I think you might have wondered correctly.
All right, so yeah, so we'll wait and see what happens. Maybe it is a build up, maybe it's not. Maybe we've gotten some real answers here. Let's hope so. Just again, we want to give a massive shout out to everybody who has been DMing us, emailing us, being active on YouTube. We've seen an uptake on a lot of people talking to us there. That's been a lot of fun to chat with you. Please, folks, please engage with us, especially if you're going to be in Japan. We really want to meet people that are listening to the show. We want your feedback. Folks, if you have an idea on how you think we should cover Andor, please, because the brain trust is
Please.
struggling. So help us out, help yourselves out, because we're gonna be the sequel trilogy mess if we don't get a plan here. So, but just big shout out to everybody. Be engaged, be active. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy. Are you happy she's staying? Are you mad she's staying? Let us know, because we want to hear from you.
Again, thank you everybody for sitting and locking in for my little chit chat this afternoon, my little breakdown. Remember to like this episode, share it with your Star Wars friends and family, and follow us on all of our social media platforms. All you have to do is search Explore the Force, all one word. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks for joining us, folks. For all of us, we have spoken. We'll see you guys next week.
See you later.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
Close your eyes. Feel it.
I am a Senate.
Wise as Master Yoda, as powerful as Master Windu.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
I am going to end this once and for all.
You were the chosen one!